While my daughter helped serve dessert, my sister smirked and said, "Look at this little maid in training." My parents laughed in the background. I took my child's hand and left without a word. The next morning my sister texted, "Your card's not working. I need that $450. I smiled and replied. The taunts irritated me more and more each time, but on that day I had reached my limit. For years I let it slide. Every time my sister made a joke about how I just loved playing house, or how my daughter was basically a little butler in training, I'd laugh along. Pretend I didn't notice the condescension, the sneer behind the smile. My parents always laughed too. Or worse, gave me that look like I was being too sensitive. They'd say things like, "It's just how she is," or "Don't take it personally, Emily. She doesn't mean anything by it." But she did. He always did. I spent my life trying to be the glue. I brought the pies. I took the family photos. I made sure the cousins stayed in touch. And somehow that turned into being everyone's convenience. My sister borrowed money every other month. My parents relied on me for rides, errands, babysitting her kids when she couldn't be bothered. I made peace with all of it because I didn't want Lily growing up without family. But this Thanksgiving it changed. Lily and I had spent the entire morning baking. She'd helped with everything. Mashing sweet potatoes, lining the crusts, setting the table. She was proud of herself. Beaming. She carried each dessert into the dining room like it was a masterpiece in a museum. She was offering everyone their slice of pie when my sister raised her glass and said, loud enough for the whole room, "Look at this little maid in training." Then she laughed. My mom covered her mouth and shook her head, but she laughed too. My dad didn't even glance up. I looked at Lily. She didn't laugh. She looked confused. Hurt. I didn't say a word. I took her hand and we walked straight out the front door. I think someone called after us, but I didn't stop. I didn't even grab the leftovers I had brought. We just left. That night Lily and I curled up on the couch with grilled cheese and a movie. She didn't ask why we left and I didn't explain. Some things don't need to be said in the moment. The next morning while I was wiping down the counter, my sister's name popped up on my phone. "Your card's not working. I need that $450. No apology. No mention of last night. Just the money." I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because she really thought I'd keep letting her walk all over me. What she didn't know was that I'd gone straight to the bank after dinner and closed the joint account. The one I stupidly let her use for emergencies, when she said she couldn't qualify for her own. I replied, "Not happening. Handle it yourself." Then I blocked her. She must have called our mom right after because not 5 minutes later I got a text from her too. Something vague about how families shouldn't turn on each other over a silly misunderstanding. I didn't reply. That was just the first move. The account was done. The money was off limits. But I wasn't finished. Next it was the car. The one she always borrowed whenever hers mysteriously had issues. And this time when she asked, she wasn't going to like the answer. The car had never really been mine. At least that's how it started to feel. I bought it. I paid for the insurance. I handled the maintenance. But somehow my sister treated it like a shared resource, right alongside my time and my patience. Whenever hers was in the shop, she texted me like it was already decided. She never asked if it worked for me. She told me when she'd be by to pick it up. After Thanksgiving, after the account was closed and the money dried up, I knew the car was next. I didn't plan it out like some grand strategy. I just stopped volunteering it. 2 days of silence passed. That alone was unusual. Then Friday afternoon her message came through. She said she needed the car Monday. Said she had an interview. Said it was important. She ended it with thanks like the deal was already done. I read it once. Then again. Then I put my phone down and went back to folding laundry with Lily. I didn't answer. Saturday morning I heard pounding on my door. Not knocking. Pounding. I opened it just enough to see her standing there with her arms crossed, already annoyed. She asked why the account was closed and why I was acting strange. I told her I wasn't lending her the car anymore. She laughed. Then she asked if I was serious. I told her yes. She asked what my problem was lately. Said I was acting like I thought I was better than everyone. Said she didn't have time for this and needed the keys. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I didn't bring up Thanksgiving. I just said no. That's when she started spiraling. She accused me of abandoning her. Said family doesn't do this. Said our parents would be furious. Said I was punishing her for something small and stupid. I told her I was done being depended on without being respected. She rolled her eyes. Said I was dramatic. Said I'd always been sensitive. I closed the door. She didn't leave right away. I heard her pacing in the hallway. Heard her muttering. Then she kicked the door hard enough that Lily looked up from the couch. After that, the footsteps went down the stairs. 10 minutes later my phone lit up with calls from our mom. I didn't answer. The voicemails followed. She said my sister was upset. Said she didn't understand what was happening. Said I should think about how this was affecting the family. That word again. Family. It was always used when I was expected to give something up. I texted back once. I said I needed space and wouldn't be lending out my car anymore. That was it. That should have been the end of it. Money gone. Car gone. Boundaries set. But my sister doesn't accept quiet changes. She needs an audience. And when she realized she wasn't getting what she wanted from me, she decided to perform somewhere else. She waited for a crowd. My parents' anniversary dinner was coming up the following weekend. A reservation at a nice restaurant. Everyone dressed up. A perfect stage. And she already knew Lily would be there. The anniversary dinner was supposed to be about my parents. 38 years married. My mom booked a reservation 2 months in advance like it was a wedding. She told me exactly what time to be there and what Lily should wear. She asked if I could, please just keep things normal. That's how she put it, keep things normal. Like everything that happened in the past 2 weeks had been a gust of wind I was expected to ignore. I agreed to come for Lily. She was still hopeful. Still eager to see everyone, still asking if her cousin would be there, still talking about giving her grandparents the card she made with pressed leaves. She even practiced a little speech in the mirror about how proud she was of them. I didn't have the heart to tell her that her effort would probably go unnoticed. The restaurant was too fancy for our family. Candlelight, white tablecloths, waiters with accents they probably faked. The kind of place where no one really enjoys the food, they just pretend to because it's expensive. But my parents liked the illusion of elegance. We got there first. Lily gave my mom the card. My dad said she looked like a young lady. The kind of moments that used to matter to me. I sat at the far end of the table with Lily beside me and watched the door. And then my sister showed up. Late, loud, wearing heels she couldn't walk in. She went around the table hugging everyone, performing the role she always does. The struggling, lovable wild card. When she got to Lily, she bent down and cooed something about how cute she looked. Then she added too cheerfully, always ready to serve, aren't you? She didn't look at me when she said it. Just kept smiling. I said nothing. Lily went back to coloring on the paper napkin. Dinner started off quietly. My parents gushed about their first date. My mom showed blurry photos on her phone. My sister talked over everyone. She bragged about a new job she hadn't started yet and dropped hints about needing help with gas money, looking directly at me every time she said the word struggling. I kept my mouth shut. Not because I was scared, I just didn't want Lily's night ruined. But then dessert came. We were halfway through the tiramisu when my sister leaned across the table and said to my mom, I'm telling you, this one's got Emily's little helper trained early. Probably has her doing laundry and taxes already. Maybe I should send my boys over. Teach them how to be little servants too. She said it with a laugh. The kind she does when she knows she's being cruel but wants to pretend she's being funny. Lily froze. She didn't smile. She didn't laugh. She stared straight down at her plate and clenched her spoon. And just like that I was done. I stood up. Fully. I walked the length of the table and before anyone could stop me, I slapped my sister across the face. Hard. The sound cracked through the dining room like glass. For the first time in my life she had nothing to say. Her hand went to her cheek and she just stared at me, completely stunned. My mother gasped. My father didn't move. The entire room was silent. I turned to Lily and held out my hand. She stood up and took it without a word and we walked out. I didn't hear what anyone said after. I didn't care. That night we got drive-through milkshakes and sat in the car in a Target parking lot. Lily still didn't say much. I asked her if she was okay. She nodded. Then quietly she asked me, why does she always say stuff like that? I didn't have a good answer. I just told her we weren't going to be around it anymore. The next morning my phone was full of missed calls and long texts. Not one asked how Lily was feeling. Not one mentioned her name. They all asked the same thing. Why would you ruin such a nice night? That was when I knew. It wasn't just about my sister anymore. It was about all of them. The morning after the anniversary dinner I expected chaos. What I didn't expect was how calm I felt. I didn't wake up with a pit in my stomach. I didn't reach for my phone to smooth things over or write out some half-hearted apology. I got up, made Lily pancakes in the shape of stars like I used to when she was little, and we spent the morning building a cardboard castle in the living room with boxes from my last Costco run. She asked me if we were going to see Grandma and Grandpa soon. I just smiled and said not for a while. That was enough for her. But of course the messages came. From my mom. We need to talk. You completely embarrassed your sister. Your father is upset. This isn't like you. From my dad. You've never acted like this before. I don't understand where this anger is coming from. Still no mention of Lily. Not a single sentence asking if she was okay. She was hurt. If she even understood what had happened. Then came the flood from my sister. First it was texts. You actually hit me in public. What the hell is wrong with you? All this over a joke? You're losing it. Seriously. What, are you trying to make mom and dad hate me now too? Then around lunch, a Venmo request. $28.63. You're half of the dinner bill. I stared at it and for a moment I couldn't even feel angry. It was just so predictable. She had just mocked my child in front of a restaurant full of people, and now she was charging me for cake I didn't eat. I declined the request. No message. No reaction. Just decline. Then I opened my banking app and started cutting the last strings. The shared gas card? Gone. I froze it instantly. She'd been using it for months. One of those temporary arrangements that turned into a permanent drain. The spare key to my car that she still had from last year? I reprogrammed the locks and made a note to change the fob. The garage code she used when she needed to crash for the night? Change. Then I checked my AAA account and removed her from the roadside assistance. I'd added her after a long call where she cried about being stuck with the kids in the heat. That was 2 summers ago. She'd used it 4 times. Never once said thank you. And as I started shutting it all down, the messages turned ugly. Well, you're really doing this? You froze the gas card? Are you that petty? I had my kids in the car. You're spiraling, Emily. You need help. This is why you don't have friends. Then this one. Told Lily's dad about your little meltdown at dinner. Bet he'll be real interested in how you're protecting her. That stopped me cold. She knew my history with Lily's father. He was decent but easily rattled. We had a peaceful custody arrangement, but he didn't like conflict. If he thought I was making a scene or dragging Lily into family drama, he might push for changes. She was threatening my daughter's stability now. But instead of reacting, I did something I'd never done before. I called him. I told him everything. From the very beginning. The way my sister treated me like the family housekeeper. The way she talked to Lily like she was staff. What she said at Thanksgiving. What she said at the anniversary dinner. I didn't dramatize it. I just told him what happened. He listened quietly. Then he said something I never expected to hear. She's told me things before. Lily, I mean. But I didn't want to step on your toes. I thought maybe you were okay with it. I nearly dropped the phone. He knew. He'd heard it from our daughter. And I'd been trying so hard to protect her from the tension, from the divide. I didn't even realize she was already asking him about it. Then he said, I support you. I think it's good that you're drawing lines now. That one sentence did something no apology ever could. It made me realize I'd waited too long to start protecting my kid. I'd been shielding the wrong people. I kept trying to preserve this illusion of family, even as they slowly picked away at both of us. That night, I got a text from my mom. Can you come by tomorrow? Just you. We need to talk. Let's clear the air. No drama. No drama. That was rich. But I agreed. Because I needed to look both of my parents in the eye. And tell them exactly what their silence had cost me. The driveway felt smaller than I remembered. Like the whole house had shrunk in the weeks since Thanksgiving, like it was caving in on itself. My mom had texted me twice the night before, reminding me what time to come. She kept saying they just wanted to talk. She used phrases like no judgment and let's reset as if this was some kind of misunderstanding that could be swept up and forgotten. I wasn't going for a reset. I was going for closure. When I walked in, the smell of cinnamon and old furniture hit me immediately. My mom always lit the same candle in December no matter what year it was. The same dusty garland hung around the staircase, and the same off-key music box on the shelf played a half-hearted version of Silent Night every time someone walked by. My dad was already sitting at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee, scrolling through something on his phone. My mom stood near the sink, drying a perfectly clean plate. She asked if I wanted tea. I said no. She offered food. I said no again. She sat across from me and folded her hands like she was preparing for a parent-teacher conference. Her voice was calm. She said things had gotten out of proportion. That everyone had been under stress. That my sister had been deeply hurt by my behavior at dinner. That she'd been crying. Hadn't gone to work the next day. That people were asking questions. I didn't speak. Then she said something I'll never forget. She didn't mean to upset Lily. She was just joking. You know how she is. You're the one who took it too far. I looked at her. Then at my dad. He still hadn't looked at me. He kept scrolling. That's when I finally spoke. I asked them both if they remembered what my sister said to Lily. Word for word. Neither answered. I asked again. Slower. They didn't look at me. I told them that Lily had cried that night. That she asked if she was embarrassing. That she didn't understand why her aunt kept laughing at her when all she was doing was helping. That she had thrown away the handmade card she'd given them, torn it into 4 neat pieces and stuffed it in the trash before bed. Still no reaction. I told them that this wasn't about one dinner or one comment. That this had been going on for years. The passive jabs, the entitlement, the manipulations disguised as favors. I told them that I had quietly paid for more of my sister's bills, rides, and emergencies than I could count, and that I had done it without complaint, because I thought it was keeping our family together. But it wasn't. It was just keeping me trapped. Then I said what I had come to say. I told them I was done. Done pretending that what happened to Lily was small. Done pretending that being treated like a maid, both me and my daughter, was something I could rise above with grace. Done making sure they were comfortable while Lily came home asking why people kept laughing at her. My mom's face shifted. She looked like she wanted to argue, but I kept going. I told them I wouldn't be bringing Lily to family dinners. I wouldn't be organizing the holidays. I wouldn't be the middleman between chaos and calm anymore. They could see Lily if she wanted to see them. That door was open. But I wouldn't be the one driving her there, smiling through another round of side comments while everyone passed around the gravy. Finally, my dad looked up. He asked if I really thought cutting everyone off was the answer. I said I didn't know if it was the answer. But it was my answer. Then I stood up, thanked them for their time, and left. No yelling. No tears. Just a quiet exit. On the way home, I stopped at a bookstore and bought Lily a winter-themed craft kit. Nothing big. Just something to do together, something to replace the time we usually would have spent driving to someone else's house to be tolerated instead of loved. That night, while Lily painted snowflakes onto popsicle sticks, my phone buzzed. It was my sister. I didn't open the message. Then came the notification that she'd posted something on Facebook. A black background. White text. Sometimes people cut you off because they can't manipulate you anymore. Stay strong. I didn't flinch. I didn't respond. I didn't feel anything at all. Then, unexpectedly, a second post appeared 10 minutes later. This one was a photo. From 2 years ago. Thanksgiving. It was me and Lily in the kitchen, both of us in aprons washing dishes. My sister had captioned it. Funny how things change. Some people forget who helped them when they had nothing. I stared at it for a while. It had a few likes already. One from my mother. I closed the app. I walked into the living room, sat next to Lily, and asked her what color she thought snow should be if we could choose. She said light purple. And I told her that was perfect. No more defending people who couldn't be bothered to defend her. No more pretending hurtful things were jokes. And no more silence. Because the truth is, I didn't lose a family that day. I just finally noticed I never really had one. Christmas used to feel like a deadline, like I had a million invisible boxes to check. Who's hosting? What am I bringing? Who do I need to buy for? Will my sister show up late and make everything about her again? Will I be stuck doing dishes while everyone else disappears into the living room? This year there was nothing. No invite. No phone call. Not even one of my mom's passive-aggressive reminder texts asking if I was still planning to bring the cranberry sauce like I always did. I thought I'd feel a pang of something. Guilt maybe. Or loss. But the truth is, Christmas was quiet. Peaceful. Lily and I made cinnamon rolls from a can, opened our gifts in pajamas, and spent most of the day building a blanket fort in the living room. She got a small set of watercolor paints from me and spent the rest of the afternoon painting little snow scenes while humming songs from some Christmas movie she'd seen the week before. She didn't ask about grandma, or her aunt, or her cousin. She didn't even mention them. That told me everything I needed to know. In the days that followed, I got one thing. A plain white envelope in the mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single card, cream-colored, cheap, and the kind my mom usually buys in bulk. She had written only one sentence inside. I hope you come back to your senses. You're still part of this family. That was it. No question about Lily. No mention of what happened. No acknowledgement. Just a reminder that, in their eyes, I was the one who left. Not because I was mistreated. Not because my daughter was humiliated. But because I'd somehow lost my grip on reality and needed to crawl back on my own. I put the card in a drawer, next to a few old receipts and expired coupons. I didn't reply. I didn't rage about it either. I felt nothing. Not because it didn't matter, but because I'd finally stopped expecting anything different. I had spent years believing that if I just worked hard enough, kept the peace, stayed useful, maybe, they would treat me with the same respect I gave them. But respect was never part of the deal. It was obedience, compliance, availability. They wanted me there, but only if I kept my head down. Only if I laughed along with the jokes. Only if I let my daughter be a prop in their little play. The helpful niece, the quiet girl who didn't mind being teased while others did nothing to stop it. But once I stepped out of that role, they didn't ask why. They just recast me as the villain. In January, my sister blocked me. Not that I had reached out, but I noticed when I couldn't see her profile anymore. A friend texted me about something she posted. Another quote, this time on Instagram. Some people don't heal because they're addicted to feeling offended. Let them go. Another one. When you lose fake people, you don't lose anything. And finally, one that made me laugh out loud. I cut off toxic people for my peace. Sorry, not sorry. There was no name, but it didn't have to have one. I didn't reply. I didn't tell her she had it backwards. The thing is, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't holding on to anything. What I felt was free. I started noticing small things, like how Lily had stopped flinching when she made mistakes. How she spoke more freely when she played, like she wasn't worried someone would make a joke at her expense. She started drawing more, seeing more, laughing louder. In February, she came home from school with a permission slip for a weekend art camp. She asked if she could go and then hesitated. I asked what was wrong. She said, "What if they make fun of me like Aunt Rachel did?" I looked her straight in the eye and told her something I wish someone had told me when I was her age. People who make fun of others for trying are just afraid to try themselves. You don't need to make yourself small to make them feel big. She nodded. And then she went. And she loved it. The following month I met someone. A man I had known through mutual friends for years. Someone quiet, kind, and genuinely interested in hearing about my day. Started small. Coffee, walks, conversations. No games, no grand gestures. Just warmth. Simplicity. He brought Lily a small sketchbook one night after dinner and told her he was excited to see what she created. He didn't make it a big deal. He just handed it to her like it was the most natural thing in the world. She drew a family. 3 people. Holding hands. That night, I sat alone on the couch after she went to bed and realized something that hit me harder than any insult ever had. All those years I fought to keep a seat at a table where I was never welcome. I could have been building my own. And now I was. Not perfect. Not big. But real. And the truth is, I didn't walk away from my family because I was angry. I walked away because my daughter was watching. And I wanted her to learn that sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do isn't forgiving people who won't change. It's leaving them behind. So no, I didn't lose everything. I gained peace. I gained clarity. I gained my daughter's trust. And finally, I gained the kind of family that never needed to be earned.